Hi friends, welcome back. Today we're making a formula based on Chanel's Sycomore. This is a heavy vetiver fragrance that is lovely. This was released in 2008, or at least Chanel released Sycomore in 2008. The perfumers were Jacques Polge and Christopher Sheldrake. I've made a version of this about a year ago. I made the Fraterworks demo version of this formula, and it's quite wonderful. This comes to us from Perfume Archaeology. Perfume Archaeology got this from a Russian Telegram channel where formulas are sometimes posted. When I compare this formula to the Fraterworks demo formula, there are similarities, and there's enough similarities where I'm thinking these are probably going to smell very close. One difference is there's no hedione in this, which is very interesting. If we look at the formula here, most of it is an ISOE super. Who'd have thought? Almost 43% is an ISOE super. 34% of this is in vetiver, a mix of Haitian and Indonesian or Javanese vetiver. So it's vetiver heavy. There's a little bit of musk, there's a little bit of ambroxan, but most of this is in vetiver and ISOE super. So let's get started. What we're going to start with is the ISOE super and the vetiver, and then just a couple of the other base notes. But let's start with our ISOE super. I'm using this neat. I'm using some of the vetiver neat. Everything else is at 10%, except the aldehyde, that's at 1%. But I've added some ethanol and some triethyl citrate already into the bottle here. Today we're making 7.5 grams at a 20% concentrate. So this is thick. All right, next, let's do our vetiver. Yeah. This stuff is awesome. I love that underneath that grassy, dry, green, woody vetiver smell, there's this beautiful amber smell. This warm golden amber hue underneath. Okay. Oh, there's going to be a lot left over in here, but that's all right. I'll just clean out the pipette with what's in the bottle. Good enough for me. So, vetiver is out of the way. Let's do our Indonesian vetiver. Okay. The formula called for, roughly 340 parts per thousand of vetiver. And that vetiver was a mix, 90%, 10% of Java, of Haitian, 90% Haitian, 10% Java, Javanese vetiver. Okay, let's do a couple more. Let's do our Ambroxan right now. Only 1.5% of the concentrate is in Ambroxan, but we're going to do it. Wonderful. Coumarin is next, and there's just a splash of coumarin. Okay, just a little bit. Perfect. And then finally, Sandalwood Essence. If you're running into a formula, if you're looking through a formula and it says essence, Sandalwood Essence, Bergamot Essence, it means essential oil. So we're using real sandalwood today. I've got Australian sandalwood here. I just grabbed the wrong sandalwood. I've got plenty of Mysore sandalwood, but whoopsie-daisy. Okay, let's give this a shake. We'll give this a dip. Okay, and we'll write vetiver base 1. Next up, we're going to add the musks. We have I have my musks broken out into 2 categories. Musk, like normal musks, and then animalic musks. We're going to start with the animalic ones first. The first is Civettone. There's just a little bit of Civettone. Civettone is hard for my nose to smell. It's hard for me to pick up, but it's warm. It is delicately animalic. It's a very subtle material. At least the way that my nose picks it up. As my nose develops, I may come to realize that Civettone is actually different, but I guess that's part of the journey. Next up, Muscenone. 10 times as much Muscenone as there is Civettone. Muscenone is much easier for me to pick up. It's warm and musky, but it is also animalic, in kind of a wet fur direction. It smells lovely, Muscenone. Muscone and Muscenone smell lovely. Next, Ambrettolide. Musky, warm, ambery. Perfect. I don't see Ambrettolide often used in very large amounts, or at least as the dominant musk note. Most of the time it's galaxolide, ethylene brassylate, habanolide, helvetolide, stuff like that. Ambrettolide, I usually see it as a supporting character in our cast of musks. Next, Cashmeran. Definitely a different musk, a little bit more metallic. Doesn't last as long on the strip. It projects a little bit more. Cuts through a blend. But it does have an ambery musk quality that's very nice. Now last, this is the heaviest hitter of the musks as far as dosage. Helvetolide. When I smell Helvetolide, I think of Jovan musk, the actual fragrance. That's what it smells like to me. Just a bunch of Helvetolide. Of course, it's probably more than that, but it's what it smells like to me. All right. Give this, come on. Give that a shake. Let's dip. This is musk. 2. Moving up the pyramid and up the chain, we're going to get into our woody and spicy notes. I wanted to pair these together because there's kind of a mishmash of notes from here on out that are tough to pair together. Juniper Berry, Cypress, I both have those in the wood category, but those smell very different. Juniper Berry is going to work well with the pink pepper. There's a woody quality in these and in the Cypress that will work well with our cardamom and the warmness of the Eugenol. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, but we're going to mix our woods and our spices. Let's start with the Cypress. And there's not much of these materials. Not much at all. These just add a little bit of character, a little bit of color. That's it. A little bit of personality. Nobody likes a boring fragrance. You have to give it some personality. Next up, our Juniper Berry. Oop, forgot to tear. Juniper Berry is more pine-like pitch and sap and kind of that sour, resinous tree sap smell. Whereas Cypress is more like the fresh, woody smell. Let's move to the pink pepper, because pink pepper ties in with the juniper. There's a terpenic smell that blends those two together. And I like pink pepper because it's a little brighter, it's a little fruitier and fresher than black pepper. Black pepper just reminds me of food seasoning, where pink pepper has a similar vibe, but it's less about the food and more about the spice. Next, cardamom. Just a little bit of cardamom. Just one drop should do it. Perfect. We've got one more. Eugenol. That warm clove smell. Okay. Done with that. Now, individually, we did not put much of each of these materials in our formula, but together, I would imagine they make a nice impact on the fragrance. Okay. Woods and spice. 3. Next, we have, we have some top notes. Fruity, floral, citrus, all the above. We're going to start with the fruity, the Cassis 345B. The actual formula asked for Cassis Absolute, but I don't have that. So we're going to use an industry staple, Cassis 345B from Firmenich. Just one drop. That should do it. And this is great because it's fruity. It's got a brightness, a lovely brightness to it. There's also a little funk to it. Next up, let's continue with the fruitiness. We'll go with our bergamot. Bergamot, our nice, bright, fruity citrus. Only a couple drops of this. Next, Linalyl Acetate. Fresh, floral, metallic, a little bit sweet. There's just not much of these materials. Not much at all. And last, Iralia. Methylione. Kind of an oddball in this mix, but c'est la vie. Okay. Okay, good to go. We'll shake. Then we have one more group, and we are all done. Okay. do top. Number 4. Now finally, we have just a splash of Aldehyde C-12 MNA. I think this is methyl, what is the MNA? Methyl non-aldehyde or something. 2-methyl undecanal is what I have written on my bottle. But there are 2 aldehyde C-12s. Aldehyde C-12, the MNA, to my nose, is very dirty. It's aldehydic and waxy, but it's just got a raw dirtiness to it. Finally, hexyl cinnamaldehyde, also known as Jasmonal, or also sold as Jasmonal. Perhaps this is the transparent lift required in the fragrance that we're not getting from Haiti. Okay, that's it. Quick and easy formula. Let's dip. Okay. And let's evaluate. So interested to see what this smells like. We've got 5 strips now. These are all, I'm expecting all of these to be vetiver-heavy because vetiver is such a large part of the concentrate. But let's start. This was Isoe Super, vetiver, Coumarin, and Ambroxan. And it's a beautiful warm vetiver. Beautiful warm vetiver. Can't say I'm picking up the Coumarin, but that's a vetiver smell whose edges have been toned down. That's all. Next up, we added the musks. And again, here I'm not expecting a whole lot, just maybe a little bit more class and elegance in our vetiver, because it's not like these musks should overpower anything. The musks add a beautiful, warm musk note right alongside the vetiver, or right underneath the vetiver. It's just providing it with a little bit different color, but it's gorgeous. This blend, it works very well. There's a nice balance here. Those musks add a very nice note. Next, we added the other woody materials and the spices. That includes the Juniper Berry and the Cypress, the pink pepper, Cardamom, and Eugenol. Barely noticeable. Barely noticeable. Adds a little bit of color. A little bit of personality. The Eugenol, the Cardamom are coming through just a little bit. Though I can't say I'm getting the pink pepper. But this adds just a little bit of complexity. The complexity is ever so slightly noticeable, but it's hard to pinpoint what is contributing to that complexity. That's something my nose brain needs to work on. Next, we had our top notes, or what I labeled as the top. These are our fruity floral citrus. That's the Bergamot, the Linalyl Acetate, the Cassis 345B, and the Iralia. Ooh, Iralia is coming through. Interesting. Okay, interesting. Again, it just adds a little extra complexity, a little floral complexity. Again, the Iralia is coming through delicately. It's perceivable, but it's delicate. And it mixes well with the musk that is supporting the vetiver. That's interesting. It's interesting to note the Iralia, the musk, and what that's doing to the vetiver. Now last, we had just a splash of aldehyde C-12 MNA and a fair dose of hexyl cinnamaldehyde. I'm getting a hint of more transparency. Just a hint. At every stage of the game, at every strip, the formula has gotten a little more refined, a little more elegant, where it evolves from just a simple, nice, warm vetiver into an actual perfume, an actual fragrance. All in all, this is good. I can smell that this needs time to mature, to blend, to fully, for that vetiver to macerate into the oil or into the alcohol. But so far, so good. I think this will turn out well. I'll add it to the list of batches that I need to review and compare to the original. I do have a list, and those are in the works. But whip this up. What is it? 24 lines, 25 lines. You got this. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.